Hi, students and friends. This is your host and teacher, Sir AYAZ. You're watching Learn and Teach by Sir AYAZ. So I'm continuing my O-level past papers session, and this time I have selected CAI Chemistry 5070. It's paper 1, just multiple choice, and we have October, November 2024, and the variant is 11. The total time for this paper is 1 hour. There are 40 questions on this paper. You have to answer all the questions. You can use calculator in this paper. The total mark for this paper is 40. Periodic table is printed in the question paper like that. This is the periodic table. So let's start the paper. Here's question number 1. Which row shows both a property of a gas and the correct explanation for this property? A. Gases flow easily. The explanation for the property, the bonds within the molecules are weak. Now, gases flow easily, it is due to the arrangement of the particles in gases, which is that they are very far away from each other. That's why they can flow easily. So it has nothing to do with the bonds within the molecule. So A is incorrect. What about B? The pressure of a sample of gas increases when the volume is decreased. If the volume of gas is decreased, so the pressure of a sample of gas will definitely increase because the space between the gas particles will increase. So what about the explanation? The particles, they collide more frequently with the walls of the container. Yes, the particles will definitely collide more frequently with the walls of the container. This statement looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm checking the other statements. See, the volume of a sample of gas increases when the temperatures increase. Yes, the volume of gas increase if you increase the temperature because the particles gain energy. They will gain more kinetic energy. This is not the explanation. The particles in gas are far apart. This is incorrect. So this C is incorrect. D. The spread of perfume particles is due to diffusion. Diffusion is a random movement of particles from an area of lower concentration to high concentration. So the perfume particles is diffusion, moving due to the diffusion. So what they are saying, diffusion is a movement of particles from an area of higher concentration to lower concentration. Remember, it's from high to low, not low to high. So this is also incorrect. B must be the right answer in this case. Number 2, when measured under the same conditions of temperature and pressure, which gas diffuses at the same rate as nitrogen? What I will do, in this case, I'm going to calculate the MR of these. So first of all, what will be MR of nitrogen? Then the gas having the same MR as of nitrogen will diffuse at the same rate. The nitrogen here, it's in group 5. Here's nitrogen. 14 is the AR, so 14 multiplied by 2. We have 2 atoms of nitrogen. We get 28. What about ammonia? Ammonia is NH3. You know hydrogen. The AR of hydrogen is 1. So we have 14 plus, there are 3 atoms of hydrogen, so 3 multiplied by 1. It will become 17. So it can't be the right answer because 17 is lower than 28. What about carbon monoxide? CO. Here is carbon. AR of carbon is 12. Oxygen. AR of oxygen is 16. 12 plus 16. So 12 plus 16 gives 28. Which means that D must be the right answer in this case. No need to work on the MR of other compounds. Moving to next question, which is question number 3. X and Y are both elements, one of which is a non-metal. 1 mole of X is added to 1 mole of Y and they are heated together. X and Y react completely to form substance Z. Substance Z cannot be easily separated to form X and Y. 3 statements are given. Y must be the non-metal. 2. X and Y formed a compound on heating. 3. Substance Z has the empirical formula XY. Which statements are correct? In this case, we don't know Y is a non-metal or metal. So this can't be the right statement. So if one is incorrect, so definitely A and B is incorrect. What about 2 and 3? Now X and Y, they are forming compound heating. This statement is correct because they react completely to form substance Z and it is a compound. And 2 different elements joined chemical means they form a compound. So this statement is correct. What about 3? Substance Z has an empirical formula XY. Yes, looking at this information, 1 mole of X reacting with 1 mole of Y. So the compound Z must have the empirical formula XY. So C must be the right choice in this case. Moving to next MCQ. An ion has an electronic configuration of 2, 8, 8. Now they are saying it's an ion. It has a 2 minus charge and a neutron number of 36. Now 2 minus charge means it must be from group 6. That's for sure. Because group 6 needs 2 electrons to complete their valence shell and they will acquire 2 minus charge. What about the nucleon number? Nucleon number is given, just 36. Okay. How many neutrons are present in the nucleus of this ion? Now we need to calculate the number of neutrons. For this, you should know the proton number of this. If you look at the charge 2 minus, which means it has gained 2 electrons. So the original electronic configuration of this particle must be 2, 8, 6. So 2 plus 8 plus 6, 16. So what you'll do, you'll subtract 16 from 36. 36 minus 16. And we will get 20. So D must be the right answer in this case. MCQ number 5. The formula for 2 ions are given. And here we are having formula for the 2 ions. Both are having same charge. That's 2 minus. And if you look at the proton number of these ions, they have same number of protons, which means they belong to the same element. Which statement is correct? A. The chemical properties for both ions are same. This must be the right statement because if you look at the number of protons, they are having same number of protons and the charges are also same, which is 2 minus. So they must be having same chemical properties. So this statement looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm reading the other statements also. The number of electrons in each ion is different. This is incorrect because if you look at the number of electrons in these, they must be having same number of electrons. 34 plus 2 means they must have 36 electrons. Both of these are having 36 electrons. See, the number of neutrons in each ion is the same. This is incorrect. Because if you look at the nucleon number of these, it's different. In one, it's 72, in another is 74. And if you subtract 72 from 34, what do we get? 34 from 72. 72 minus 32, 4. 38. In this case, you have 38. What about the second one? 74 minus 34. It is 30. So both of these are having different number of neutrons. So this is incorrect. D, the number of protons in each ion is different. It's also incorrect. They have same proton number, which means they have same number of protons. Next MCQ, which is number 6. Which pair of molecules have the same number of electrons in covalent bonds? Now they are talking about same number of electrons in covalent bonds. So for A, we have methanol and ethene. The displayed formula for methanol is this. This will be the displayed formula for methanol. For what ethene, C double bond C. Now each dash line represents a pair of electrons. So this will be easy for you to calculate the number of electrons for both of these molecules. For methanol, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 pair, which means 10 electrons. What about ethene? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 multiplied by 2, 12 electrons. So A must be the incorrect choice here. Looking at the other choices, carbon dioxide and H2O. The displayed formula for carbon dioxide, CO2. There are 4 bonds in CO2, which means 4 multiplied by 2, 8 electrons. So what H2O, HOH, we have 2 bonds, which means 2 pair of electrons. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, 4 electrons. So this is also incorrect. C, we have NH3 and N2. NH3, we have 3 bonds, 3 NH bonds. So 3 multiplied by 2 means 6 electrons. N2, there will be triple bond between 2 nitrogen atoms. 1, 2, 3. 3 multiplied by 2, 6 electrons. So this must be the right answer in this case. 7. Chrome alum is a salt that contains 2 different cations and 1 anion. The ions present in the chrome alum are K plus, Cr3 plus, and SO4 2 minus. What is the formula of the salt? So now we have K plus and Cr3 plus as their cations. So which will become KCr. So 3 plus 1 means 4 plus. Charge must be 4 plus. What about SO4? SO4 will carry 2 minus charge. Now ignore the charges. These numbers can be simplified. 2 is the smallest number. So we will get 2 here and 1 here. Now these numbers will be swapped. And we'll get this. KCrSO4 4 twice. Which means that B must be the right answer in this case. 8. The table gives some information about barium and chlorine. We have relative atomic mass and group in periodic table. Barium belongs to group 2, chlorine belongs to group 7. Using this information only, a student makes 3 statements. 1. There is more than 1 isotope of chlorine. Number 2, there may be more than 1 isotope of barium. Number 3, the relative formula mass of barium chloride is 208. Which statements are correct? Now, looking at the relative atomic mass of chlorine, you can easily predict there must be more than 1 isotope of chlorine. So 1 must be the right statement in this case. What about number 2? There may be more than 1 isotope of barium. Now we are not sure, but there can be more than 1 isotope of barium. So this statement is also correct. What about relative formula mass of barium chloride? So for this, we need to predict the formula between these two. As barium belongs to group 2, so it must be having +2 or 2 plus as its valency. What about chlorine? Chlorine belongs to group 7, which means it must have -1 as its valency, ignoring the charges. We get 2, 1. Swap these values. 1, 2. We get BaCl2. So we have 1 atom of barium. So 137 plus 2 atoms of chlorine, which means that 2 will be multiplied by 35.5. Becomes 137 plus 71. 137 plus 71. So 208. So this is also the correct statement, which means A must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is number 9. Which mass of carbon contains the same number of atoms as 16 grams of sulfur? Here is sulfur in the periodic table. AR of sulfur is 32. And the mass of sulfur is given 16. So let's calculate the number of moles of sulfur. Number of moles of sulfur, you know the formula. It's mass divided by AR or MR. So in this case, it must be 16 divided by 32, which becomes 1/2 or 0.5 moles. So for the carbon, it must be 0.5 moles that contain the same number of atoms. So 0.5 moles of carbon means mass of carbon in 0.5 moles. What you need to do? You simply need to multiply 0.5 by the AR of carbon. Here is carbon. AR of carbon is 12. So 0.5 multiplied by 12, which becomes 6 grams. So B must be the right answer in this case. Question number 10. Compound X contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen only. It has an MR of 19. 100 grams of compound X contains 40 grams of carbon and 6.7 grams of hydrogen. How many oxygen atoms are there in each molecule of compound X? So we need to calculate the empirical formula using this information. We have carbon here, hydrogen, and oxygen. Mass of carbon and hydrogen is given. So carbon is 40, hydrogen is 6.5. In order to get the mass of oxygen, we need to subtract both 40 and 6.7 from 100. So 100 minus 46.7, 53.3. In order to calculate these combining ratios of these atoms, we need to divide these masses by the AR. For carbon, it's 12. For oxygen, 16. Hydrogen, it's 1. So 40 divided by 12 for carbon. For hydrogen, 6.7 divided by 1. Oxygen, 53.3 divided by 16. So for carbon, 40 divided by 12 gives 3.333. For hydrogen, it will be 6.7. What about oxygen? P3 divided by 16. 3.312. 3 divided by 16. 3.331. Now divide all the values by the least value. For carbon and oxygen, it will be 1. For hydrogen, 6.7 divided by 331. 3.331. 2.01, which means can be round off to 2. So the empirical formula for this compound is CH2O. In order to calculate the molecular formula, we need to find the empirical mass. So empirical formula mass for CH2 must be, we have 1 atom of carbon, so 12 plus 2 atoms of hydrogen, 2 plus 16. 12 plus 2 plus 16, 30. Now we need to calculate N, which is molecular mass by empirical mass. So 90 divided by 30 gives 3. So the molecular formula must be 3 multiplied by CH2O. We'll get C3. H2 multiplied by 3 is 6. O3. So we have 3 atoms of oxygen in each molecule of compound X. So C must be the final answer for this question. Moving to next MCQ, which is 11. Aqueous copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. Which row describes the changes that take place during the electrolysis? So we are having aqueous copper 2 sulfate and electrode is of copper. So mass of anode must decrease because during the electrolysis of copper 2 sulfate, we have ions produce Cu plus 2 and SO4 minus 2. Cu plus 2 moves to cathode and it results increase in mass of cathode. So copper will deposit at cathode. So either C is correct or D is correct. Now, in order to compensate the loss of Cu plus 2 ions in the solution, copper anode dissolves. There must be decrease in mass of anode. What about the color of the solution? The color of the solution stays the same. So it will remain blue. The color of copper 2 sulfate is blue. So it will remain blue at the end of the electrolysis. So D must be the right response in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 12. Which row describes one advantage and one disadvantage of using a hydrogen-oxygen fuel cell to power a road vehicle? A. Fuel cell obtains oxygen from the air. This is the advantage, that we are getting oxygen from the air for the fuel cell. This statement is correct. What about disadvantage? The hydrogen has to be stored in a very strong tank. Yes, this is also correct statement. The reason is that hydrogen is highly explosive gas. We need to use highly pressurized tank in order to store the hydrogen gas. So this, for me, this statement is correct. A must be the right statement. For your convenience, I am checking the other responses. In B, fuel cell obtains oxygen from the air. This is correct. Disadvantage, the only chemical product causes acid rain. This is wrong. Because the only chemical product in this is water. And water is not responsible for acid rain. So B is incorrect. What about C? The fuel cell obtains oxygen from water. This is incorrect. We are not getting oxygen from water. No need to read the disadvantage. This is incorrect. C. What about D? The fuel cell obtains oxygen from water. Again, it's wrong. So A must be the right choice in this case. So MCQ number 13. Which statement about exothermic and endothermic is correct? A. In an endothermic reaction, energy is used to break bonds, but no energy is released when bonds form. This is incorrect because energy is released when bonds are formed. So this is automatically incorrect statement. B. In an endothermic reaction, energy is released when bonds form, but more energy is used to break bonds. This statement looks correct to me because more energy is used to break bonds during an endothermic reaction than the energy released in bonds are made. For your convenience, I'm checking the other statements. In an exothermic reaction, energy is released both by breaking and by forming bonds. This is wrong. 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. 4 + 2 = 6. 6 + 2 = 12. 12 + 2 = 24. 24 + 2 = 26. 26 + 2 = 28. 28 + 2 = 30. 30 + 2 = 40. 40 + 2 = 50. 50 + 2 = 60. 60 + 2 = 120. 120 + 2 = 240. 240 + 2 = 440. 440 + 2 = 640. 640 + 2 = 840. 840 + 2 = 120. 120 + 2 = 240. 240 + 2 = 440. 440 + 2 = 640. 640 + 2 = 840. 840 + 2 = 120. 120 + 2 = 240. 240 + 2 = 440. 440 + 2 = 640. 640 + 2 = 840. 840 + 2 = 120. 120 + 2 = 240. 240 + 2 = 640. 640 + 2 = 840. 840 + 2 = 120. 120 + 2 = 240. 240 + 2 = 640. 640 + 2 = 840. 840 + 2 = 120. 120 + 2 = 240. 240 + 2 = 640. 640 + 2 = 840. 840 + 2 = 120. 120 + 2 = 240. 240 + 2 = 640. 640 + 2 = 840. 840 + because energy is released only when bonds are made. D, in an exothermic reaction, energy is released when bonds form, but no energy is needed to break bonds. This is also incorrect. So B must be the right statement for MCQ number 30. Number 42, gases react together to produce a single product. The rate of the reaction is affected by the increase in pressure. The reaction is catalyzed by platinum. Which row describes one effect on this reaction of increasing pressure and one effect on this reaction of adding platinum? So effect of pressure is applicable to gases. If you increase the pressure, the rate of the reaction will definitely increase. So either C is correct or D is correct. Both A and B is incorrect. You see, I have narrowed down the choices, so no need to read the other statements for A and B. Straight away come to C. The activation energy EA degree. This statement is correct only C. Because when you add the catalyst, what it do, it simply decreases the activation energy EA. Okay, so C must be the right answer in this case. Next MCQ, which is 15. Calcium carbonate reacts with excess dilute hydrochloric acid to form carbon dioxide. The reaction is investigated in two experiments. The rate of the reaction is compared by measuring the volume of carbon dioxide formed over time in each experiment. The two rates are compared by plotting graphs. Which statement about experiments 1 and 2 is correct? Now, in A, what they are saying, experiments 1 and 2 both slow down as the reaction proceeds. This statement looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm reading the other statements also, so in order to confirm whether this is only the right response here. Experiments 1 and 2 must both use acid of the same concentration. This is incorrect. Because if you look at this graph carefully in 2, you will definitely having higher concentration of acid. Not of same concentration. So there will be different concentration in case of experiment 2. So B is incorrect. What about C? Experiments 1 and 2 must have been done at the same temperature. This is also incorrect. You can't have the different rates of the experiment with the same conditions because of the steeper graph in case of experiment 2 as compared to experiment 1. D, experiment 2 uses larger lumps of calcium carbonate. All other conditions stay the same. Now what they are saying they have used the larger lumps in this case. This is tricky one. So if you have larger lumps, then that must be experiment 1. It can't be experiment 2. Because if experiment 2 is more steeper, it can have fine particles of calcium carbonate, not larger lumps. So this is also incorrect. So only A is the right response. Moving to next MCQ, which is 16. If calcium carbonate is heated in a closed container, it will decompose, forming calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Calcium oxide and carbon dioxide can recombine to form calcium carbonate. After some time, position is reached when calcium carbonate is decomposing and calcium oxide and carbon dioxide are recombining at the same rate. What is this position called? We call it equilibrium. So we have only C as a right response for 16. Going to next MCQ, which is 17. Which set of conditions is used in the contact process? This is something which you have to learn by heart. Contact process, the question involves the conversion of sulfur dioxide into sulfur trioxide by reacting with oxygen. The temperature maintained is 450 degrees centigrade. So either C is correct or D is correct. Both A and B is incorrect. The catalyst used is V2O5. So no need to look at this choice C. D must be the right answer in this case. It's something which you have to learn by heart. 18. Copper forms a red oxide, Cu2O, and a black oxide, CuO. In the presence of a catalyst, aqueous hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, decomposes to form water. The black oxide has copper in a one oxidation state, then in the red oxide. In forming water, hydrogen peroxide is dash. 2. Which words correctly complete gaps 1 and 2? So black oxide, we have CuO. And red oxide, we are having Cu2O. One. They are talking about the oxidation state of copper. Copper. What will be the oxidation state of copper in black oxide? So if you look at the position of oxygen, it belongs to group 6, which means it must have -2 as its oxidation state. So if -2 is the oxidation state of oxygen, so +2 is the oxidation state of copper. What about the oxidation state of copper in Cu2O? So we have 2 atoms of copper. So I'm going to consider each copper as X. So I will write 2X plus the oxidation state of oxygen is -2. Overall, there is no charge. So I will write 0. 2X minus 2 is equal to 0, or 2X is equal to +2, or X is equal to +2 by 2 gives +1. So oxidation state of copper in red oxide is +1. So it must be higher. The black oxide has copper in a higher oxidation state than in red oxide. So either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. Now we have narrowed down the choices. Now let's check what is happening to hydrogen peroxide. So H2O2 is converted to H2O. H2O2 is converted to H2O. Now what is happening to hydrogen peroxide? Is it oxidized or reduced? If you look at carefully, it loses oxygen. So it means it is reduced. So A must be the right response. Going to next MCQ, which is 19. An organic compound X has a molecular formula C4H8O2 and turns damp blue litmus paper red. What is the display formula of X? Now, the information indicates it must be acid. And we have organic compound, so it must be organic acid. Organic acid must be having COOH in it. So look at this carefully. We have only one compound having COOH. You see, you might get confused with these two. Either C is correct or D is correct. A and B is incorrect. Now, how do you know which one is the correct? The COOH, it can be written like this. It can't be written like this. This is the ester group, not carboxyl group. Carboxylic group, you must have hydrogen attached to oxygen, not to carbon. It's incorrect. So D must be the right answer in this case. MCQ number 20. Which statement about oxides is correct? All acidic oxides are gases at room temperature. It's incorrect because silicon dioxide is also an acidic oxide. It does not exist as gas at room temperature. So A is incorrect. B, all basic oxides dissolve in water to give alkali. This is also incorrect. There are some oxides which are not soluble in water to give alkalis. So this is incorrect. C, amphoteric oxides react with acids, alkalis, and water. No, amphoteric oxide, they react with acids and alkalis. They are not reacting with water. So this is all incorrect. So obviously D must be the right statement. Potassium oxide is a basic oxide. This is right. 21. A student is provided with suitable apparatus to distill water and the following reagents: solid magnesium hydroxide, solid lead carbonate, dilute nitric acid, aqueous sodium chloride, aqueous sodium sulfate. Which sorts can the student prepare as a pure dry sample? Now, can we make lead nitrate from this information? Now, solid lead carbonate, it will definitely react with dilute nitric acid. So we can make and we'll get this as pure dry sample. What about magnesium nitrate? If you react solid magnesium hydroxide to dilute nitric acid, you can get magnesium nitrate. What about lead chloride? In order to get lead chloride, we need to first react solid lead carbonate with dilute nitric acid to get lead nitrate. Then it will be reacted with sodium chloride to get solid lead chloride. Lead chloride is insoluble, so this is also possible. What about lead sulfate? Again, we can react solid lead carbonate with dilute nitric acid to get lead nitrate, and it can be reacted with aqueous sodium sulfate to get lead sulfate. What about magnesium sulfate? Now, if you react solid magnesium hydroxide with aqueous sodium sulfate, you can't get solid magnesium sulfate. The reaction will take place, but you can't get insoluble magnesium sulfate. So you can't get pure dry sample of magnesium sulfate here. So this must be incorrect. So B, lead nitrate, yes. Magnesium nitrate, yes. Lead chloride, yes. Lead sulfate, only yes. This looks correct to me. For your convenience, I am reading the other statement. The other statements are incorrect. We have limited samples. So B must be the right answer in this case. Moving to 22. When heated, copper 2 sulfate versus CuSO4.5H2O react as shown. So there's a reaction in which copper 2 sulfate, hydrated copper 2 sulfate, it's actually hydrated copper 2 sulfate. When you heat it down, what you will get? You will get solid copper 2 sulfate and 5 moles of water. When one copper 2 sulfate, which is 2 in appearance, is heated, it forms 3 copper 2 sulfate, which is 4 in appearance. Which words correctly complete gaps 1, 2, 3, and 4? Now we know copper 2 sulfate, hydrated copper 2 sulfate is blue and crystalline. So either A is correct or D is correct. Both B and C is incorrect. Now you see I have narrowed down the choices. So it will be easier for you to choose the right response. So when one copper 2 sulfate. So here copper 2 sulfate, it is definitely hydrated. So D must be the right response. For your convenience, I'm reading the other statements also. For 3, it forms anhydrous. This is also correct. Copper 2 sulfate, which is white and powdery. So this is correct. A is incorrect. Moving to next MCQ, which is 23. Which formula represents the oxide of element Z in group 2 of the periodic table? So group 2 here is group 2, which carries +2 as its valency. So oxide means it's reacting with oxygen. So group 2, if I will consider Z as group 2, so it will carry +2 charge. Oxygen, it's in group 6, -2, ignoring the charges, 2, 2. Simplify these numbers and swap these numbers. What you will get? You will get ZO. So A must be the right answer in this case. All the other options are incorrect. 24th. Element X is in group 1. Some statements about element X are given. X is not the least dense element in group 1. X is more reactive than potassium. X has an AR value less than 100. Now the trend in group 1 is that the reactivity increases down the group. Reactivity increases. Density also increases. So I will write density and reactivity increases down the group. What they are saying that X is more reactive than potassium, which means it can be either rubidium, cesium, and francium, one of these. And they are not saying it's not least dense. Least dense mean you can't have these, definitely. So X has an AR value less than 100. AR value less than 100 means it must be rubidium. The AR of rubidium is 85, which is less than 100. So C must be the right answer in this case. 25. The student makes 3 statements about metals and non-metals. 1. All alloys contain at least 1 metal. This statement is correct. So if 1 is correct, so It means that A, B, and C, all these are correct. D must be incorrect response. Statement number 2. All metals are good thermal and electrical conductors. This statement is also correct. 3. All solid non-metals are malleable. This is incorrect. Non-metals are not malleable. So obviously B is the right answer in this case. Both A and C is incorrect. The next MCQ, which is 26. Group 1 elements and transition elements are metals. Student X suggests that the group 1 elements are above hydrogen in the reactivity series, but that not all transition elements are above hydrogen. Student Y suggests that the densities of group 1 elements are lower than those of the transition elements. Which students are correct? Both these statements are correct, so both X and Y are correct. So A is the right response. 27. Equations for 3 reactions are given. We have 3 different reactions. These reactions take place in the extraction of metals. Which row is correct? Now, reaction in extraction of aluminum only. We have 1, 2. Both are happening in the reaction in extraction of aluminum only. What about reaction in extraction of iron only? So we have 2 and 3. 2 and 3 for iron. So I will write Fe here, and here we have aluminum. So the reaction in extraction of aluminum and iron common, it must be 2. So 1, 3, 2. So B must be the right response here. Moving to next MCQ, which is 28. The domestic water supply is treated to make it safe to drink. Which row identifies the treatment and its effect? Chlorination. You know, chlorination kills microbes. So either B is correct or D is correct. Both A and C is incorrect. No need to look at the other statements for A and C. Let's come to B. Filtration. It removes soluble compound. This is incorrect. So no need to look at further. D must be the right answer in this case. Chlorination kills microbes. Filtration removes solids. Sedimentation removes solid. Both are correct. Moving to next MCQ, which is 29. Sodium phosphate, Na3PO4, and ammonium nitrate, NH4NO3, are both used as fertilizers. Which row shows the correct percentage by mass of the element in each compound that improves plant growth? No, in sodium phosphate, phosphorus improves the plant growth. In case of sodium nitrate, it's nitrogen. Ammonium nitrate, it's nitrogen. So let's calculate the percentage of phosphorus in sodium phosphate. We need MR of Na3PO4. So we have 3 atoms of sodium. Ar of sodium is 23. Phosphorus, it's 31. Oxygen, it's 16. So 3 multiplied by 23 plus 31 for phosphorus plus 4 multiplied by 16 for oxygen. So 3 multiplied by 23. 69 plus 31 plus 4 multiplied by 16, you will get 64. You will add up these, what you will get? 9 plus 1, 10, 10 plus 4, 14, 4, 6 is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 164. Let's calculate the percentage of phosphorus in this. P. So 31 multiplied by 100 divided by 164. The percentage is 18.902. 18.902 means it either A is correct or B is correct. No need to look at C and D. Let's find the percentage of nitrogen in ammonium nitrate. So first of all, we need to find the MR of ammonium nitrate, NH4, NO3. We have two atoms of nitrogen. So I will multiply 2 by AR of nitrogen. AR of nitrogen. Here is nitrogen, it's 14. So 2 multiplied by 14 plus we have 4 atoms of hydrogen. 4 multiplied by 1 is the AR of hydrogen. Plus 3 atoms of oxygen means 3 multiplied by 16. So 2 multiplied by 14 gives 28. 28 plus 4 plus 3 multiplied by 16 is 48. You will get 8 plus 8, 16. 16 plus 4 is 20. 2 to 4, 4 plus 4, 8. 80. 80 is the MR of ammonium nitrate. Now let's find the percentage of nitrogen in this. So you have 28 percentage nitrogen. 28 multiplied by 100 divided by 80. 800 divided by 80. 35. So 35 is the percentage for nitrogen in this case. So B must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next question, which is 30. 3 processes are shown. 1. The decomposition of vegetation. 2. Emissions from a car engine. 3. Photosynthesis. Which row shows a gas produced in each process? During the decomposition of vegetation, we'll get carbon dioxide and methane. In emission of car engines, we'll get lots of different gases. We are getting carbon monoxide as well as carbon dioxide. Photosynthesis gas produces oxygen. So for process 1, we have methane. They mentioned methane. So either C is correct or D is correct. Now I have narrowed down the choices. It's easy to select the right response here now. Process 2, emission of from car engine, you will also get nitrogen monoxide, NO. Process 3, oxygen. C looks correct to me because in D, they said that hydrogen is produced, which is incorrect. So D is the incorrect response. C must be the right answer. 31. Which compound is not an alkane, alcohol, or carboxylic acid? Now, alkanes, they are having only chain of carbon-carbon bond along with hydrogen atom, not any other element like this. This is an example of propane. What about alkene? There must be at least one carbon-carbon double bond beside hydrogen and carbon. What about alcohol? There must be OH attached to carbon. What about carboxylic acid? There must be COOH in it, like that. COOH. What they are saying, reading the question again, which compound is not an alkane, alcohol, or carboxylic acid? A looks correct to me because in this you have having carbonyl group. This is known as carbonyl group, which is different from all of these because B, it's an alcohol. Incorrect. C, it's an alkane. You can see you have carbon hydrogen attached to single bonds. Incorrect. D, you are having carbon-carbon double bond, which means it's an alkene. So D is incorrect. So A must be the right choice here. Number 32. Alkenes can be produced by the cracking of alkanes such as decane, C10H22. Which equation shows the cracking of decane to produce 2 different alkenes and at least one other product? So when they are saying 2 different alkenes and one other product, it means there will be 3 products in all. So what I will do, I'm going to omit the choices in which there will be either more than 3 products or less than 3 products. So B and C is incorrect. We are left with A and D. Either A is correct or D is correct. So in equation 1, you see there are 2 moles of ethene, this is ethene, and 1 mole of propene, and 1 mole of butane is produced. So we have 2 alkenes and 1 other product. What about the total number of atoms here? We have C10 here. So we must have C10 on the product side. 2 2s are 4, 4 plus 3 is 7, 7 plus 4 is 11. This can't be the correct answer because number of carbon atoms exceed 10. What about D? We have again C10 as 22. We have hydrogen gas produced and 2 moles of ethene and 2 moles of propene produced in this case. So let's count the number of carbon atoms on the product side. 2 to the 4 and 2 3 is 6. 6 plus 2, 6 plus 4 is 10. C10 balance. What about hydrogen? 6 plus 4 plus 2 4s are 8. We have 8 hydrogen atom here. 2 6 are 12. 12 plus 8 and plus 2. So if you will add up these, you will get C10 as 22. So D must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 33. Alkenes undergo addition reactions with bromine to form dibromoalkanes. Which statement is correct? A. Ethene and bromine react to produce 1,1-dibromoethane. This can't be the right answer. A is incorrect. The reason is that this ethene, it's having carbon-carbon double bond. When it's reacted with bromine molecule, each carbon will receive 1 bromine. You can't have 2 bromine on the same carbon atom. So this can't be the right choice. What about B? Propene and bromine react to produce 1,3-dibromopropane. This is also incorrect. You can have 1,2-dibromopropane. You can't have 1,3-dibromopropane. This is propene. You see, this is bromine. And if you react with 1 molecule of bromine, so 1 bromine will get attached to this carbon, 2nd bromine will get attached to this carbon. So the product must be 1,2-dibromopropane. You can't get 1,3-dibromopropane. So this is also incorrect. What about C? Butene and bromine react to produce 2,2-dibromobutane. This is also incorrect. The reason is that you are again having bromine attached to same carbon atom. D must be the right answer. Butene and bromine react to produce 1,2-dibromobutane. So butene, this is butene. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1 butene, which means the double bond is between 1 and 2nd carbon atom. And when it's reacted with bromine molecule plus Br, product will be 1,2-dibromobutane. So this is correct. Number 34. How many moles of oxygen are required for the complete combustion of 2 moles of ethanol? So ethanol, it's an alcohol. We call the general formula of alcohol CnH2n plus 1 OH. Value of N is 2 here, so must be C2. 2 to the 4, 4 plus 1, 5, 5 OH. So complete combustion means we are getting this C2H6O plus O2 in complete, and during complete combustion you will always get the products carbon dioxide and water. Let's balance the equation. You have 2 moles of ethanol, so I'm writing 2 moles before carbon dioxide. What about water? There will be 3 moles of water produced. Now oxygen, 2 to the 4, 4 plus 3 is 7. So we will definitely have 3 moles of oxygen involved here. So For 1 mole of ethanol, there will be 3 moles of oxygen involved, which means 2 mole need 3 multiplied by 2, 6 moles. So C must be the right answer in this case. 35. Two reactions are shown. Reaction 1, CH2CH double bond CH2OH plus H2 arrow nickel compound X. Reaction 2, compound X gives acidified. In the presence of acidified KMnO4 aqueous gives compound Y. Which row is correct? Name of compound X. So this reaction involves saturation of these bonds. So you will definitely get, this one is 1, 2, 3 carbon here. So you will get propane 1 all. Propane 1 all. So either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. What about compound Y? Now, when alcohols are reacted with acidified KMnO4, you will get oxidized product which is carboxylic acid. So in this case, A must be the right answer. Moving to next question, which is 36. A section of the structure of a protein is shown. How many amino acid monomer molecules have been used to make this section of the structure? So you know that amino acids have amino group at one end and carboxyl group at the other end. So there will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So there must be 4 amino acids involved in the making of this protein. So C must be the right answer in this case. 37. Which piece of apparatus is used to measure exactly 27.3 centimeter cube of a liquid? Only one choice is correct, Virid, because Virid has higher accuracy. So you can measure this amount of liquid. 38. A student titrates aqueous sodium hydroxide with 0.1 mole per dm cube hydrochloric acid. The titration results are used to calculate the concentration of the aqueous sodium hydroxide. Which row is correct? Apparatus to measure the volume of dilute hydrochloric acid. You can have either A is correct answer or B is correct answer, because you are titrating hydrochloric acid with sodium hydroxide, so it must be impurity. So either A is correct, B is correct, or B is correct, C and D is incorrect. What about the apparatus used to transfer sodium hydroxide? It must be volumetric pipette. So B must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 39. A mixture of 4 colored dyes is analyzed by chromatography. The result is shown. Which change allows the 4 colored dyes to be seen separately? A. Measure the RF values of the spots carefully. B. Run the chromatogram for a long time. C. Run the chromatogram using a different solvent. So you want to see these separately, so you have to change the solvent in this case. So we can use different solvent. So this looks correct to me. I'm using the last, reading the last statement, which is use a locating agent is incorrect because we have colored dyes. Locating agent is used to identify the colored substance. So C must be the right answer in this case. Number 40. An aqueous solution contains cations of metal X. Precipitate forms when a few drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide are added to the solution. The precipitate dissolves in excess aqueous sodium hydroxide. So this tells that it's containing either Al plus 3 or Zn plus 2 or both, because both of these form precipitates, white precipitates which are soluble in excess. Okay, what is a possible identity of metal X? No, ammonium is not a metal. Ammonium is not a metal. So either A is correct or C is correct. Both B and D is correct. Now, as they are saying that we have precipitate dissolving in excess sodium hydroxide, so we can have both of these. So A must be the right answer in this case. Thanks for watching. Press like and share my videos. For more videos, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.